The main aim of education is the all-round development of the personality of the individual. And this aims in the context of teaching of sciences in senior secondary schools and its linkages with the other level of educational system, that is upper primary and secondary level. So that part we have studied. In part A we came to know about the how the NSF, National Science Foundation of Washington, under the project 2061, how they have highlighted about the different aims of the science instructions in the schools. And today in this lesson we would like to see the Indian scenario. So what are the aims and the goals which are being destined, or it is being aspired by the learners in the schools, and what our science teachers would be knowing about it. We'll deal it in rather detail. So in the last class we came to know about the differences between the aims and objectives and the goals. So Indian scenario, these aims and goals are being utilized synonymously. And regarding the teaching of science in the school, not only the science subject but overall the educational scenario in education that has been studied by various commissions and committees, and those commissions and committees were set up by the government of India after independence. And all these commissions and the committees, with a special reference to Mudaliar Commission 1952-53 and Kothari Commission 1964-66. So they have emphasized the importance of teaching of science from the primary level. So science is to be taught from the primary level of the education. And what may be the reason why the science is to be taught from the primary level, then to upper primary, then secondary to senior secondary? So here the different reasons have been highlighted pertaining to the teaching of science in the school. The teaching of science is very essential for the development of the process skills among the learners. So every learners in the modern day, they have to develop their process skills, especially learning the science, scientific knowledge. And those process skills, some of them have been shown in this figure. Observation. Many experimentation has to be done in the process of the learning of the science, and so those experimentation are to be observed. Then another process is classifications. Certain items, a certain group of the animals having a similar type of characteristics or similar type of metals or the non-metals, they have been classified. So this is also one of the skill in learning the science. So to develop these skills, the science is to be taught. And besides that, the another process skills are measurement and communication. Certain scientific facts or concepts or the knowledge are to be acquired by the process of measurement, and certain knowledges of sciences, facts or concepts are to be communicated properly among the group or with the society. So this comes under the process skills, and these are to be developed by teaching science in the school. And another factor which also emphasizes about the teaching of science, that every learner, they have to acquire and understand the scientific knowledge. Acquire by the process of these different skills: measurement, communication, observation, experimentation, etc. The students, they have to acquire the scientific knowledge, and not only acquire, not only accumulate the scientific knowledge, but also understand. They have to have a very thorough understanding of that knowledge, not only mugging up, not only cramming of that knowledge, but they really have to understand it. And besides that, for acquisition and understanding of the scientific knowledge, they need to develop certain skills, and those skills we can say as academic skills, and namely problem solving. So with the help of that scientific knowledge which they have acquired and they have understood, with that knowledge, if they apply to solve the day-to-day problem related with the science or the nature. And another skill also will be developed, that is the investigations. So the knowledge cannot be acquired from the vacuum. So it is to be investigated, it has to be researched. So that is also a kind of a skill. So investigation, it's related with the research skill. And another skill, that is logical skill. So students, our learners, they must develop the logical skills in terms of the certain cause and effect of the natural phenomenon. And they must know what are the causes and what are the effect of a particular natural processes. And they have to have enough reasoning about it. Not only natural processes, sometimes the human activities that also can be analyzed by making the use of logical thinking. So this type of skills are to be developed among the learners. So that's why the science is to be taught. Then third factor which has been emphasized by those various committees and the commissions on educations, that is development of ability to reach generalization. So generalization is after doing an experimentations or after doing a certain observation of the scientific phenomenon, usually we come to the conclusion or we draw the inference, and based on that inference we generalize that idea, and that idea can be applied. Generalized idea, generalized concept or the knowledge can be applied in solving everyday problems. And that everyday problems, it can be like growing the plants, some flowers in the home itself or in the school premises. So when the green plants, they have been planted, so about the green plants, students, they have already gained a kind of a knowledge that green plants thrive in the sunlight. I mean, they can grow in the enough natural light. If natural light is not there, that means a photosynthesis process which is going in the green plants, that is possible because of the sunlight. So if sunlight is not there, photosynthesis will not take place, food will not be prepared, and oxygen also cannot be evolved. And if they understand this concept of photosynthesis, then they can apply that knowledge that for the process of photosynthesis or for all the green plants, light is required. So if they happen to see some of the plants in their home which is kept in the shady area or the dark places, then after some time they can observe that the leaves of those plant starts to turn yellow. So that time they can apply that generalized knowledge, generalized idea from the topic of photosynthesis. So these plants, they are not receiving enough sunlight, so that's why their leaves colors are changing. So they solve that problem by keeping those plants into the open sunlight for the time being. And that way, that means they are applying what is being taught in the photosynthesis, and they are applying in their everyday problems. So this generalization is also related with the drawing the conclusion on the basis of the experimentation. So they can do the experimentations or related to the different natural phenomenon, and from there again they can draw the conclusions, and with that conclusion they can move further and they can do another experiment related to that phenomenon, and they again further draw the conclusion. So this goes on. So drawing the conclusion or coming to the generalized opinion, it's not all of a sudden. No? It depends upon the thorough observation and also experimentations. So the children or the learners, they must learn how to do the experimentation, how to draw the conclusion, or how to reach the generalization. So this is also a special ability, cognitive ability or intellectual ability. Next, the teaching of science is being emphasized in the school because this act will foster the creativity in the people. You know, every human being is actually basically is creative, and this creativity is to be nurtured by teaching science. And when the science is being taught and certain activities are allowed to them to do, so that time the students can make the use of their creative potentialities, and that may enable them to carry out innovations in science. So creativity leads innovations, or doing ordinary things but in a very, very innovative way. So that is the need of the hour also. So that's why the science is to be taught. And another reason is that so much of development is taking place in the field of science and technology, as we have already discussed about it, and that will help the learners to develop the understanding of the interrelationship of science, technology with the society. How the science and technology influences the society, and how the society in return influences the growth of science and technology. This we have already dealt in the previous lesson too. So these are the basic reasons of making teaching of science compulsory. Certain reasons as emphasized by various educational committees and commissions set up by Government of India. So this is the beginning. And now we move to the another area of our Indian scenario in terms of the teaching of science. So regarding the teaching of science and also the other subjects in the school, in 2005, under the chairmanship of Professor Yashpal, National Curriculum Framework was set up, NCF 2005. And that NCF 2005 has proposed 5 guiding principles which can give us certain directions for the curriculum development. And the total curriculum of the school education system is to be constructed or to be formulated, and that time these 5 guiding principles are to be taken care of. So what are those guiding principles for curriculum development? So that part, the National Focus Group on Teaching of Science, 2006, it was a sister organization, a group under the NCF. So they have highlighted the guiding principle for curriculum development like this. So number 1, science is to be taught, or the whatever subject we teach in the school that have the direct connections to the life outside the school. So whatever we teach in the school that has to have a relations, or that has to have a connections with the social life of the students. The students from where they come. They usually come from society. And whatever is being taught in the class, earlier it used to remain within the class only. Those knowledge were not implemented in the day-to-day life. But the guiding principle focuses that whatever we teach in the school, that has to have a strong connection with your day-to-day life. And second one is ensuring that learning shifts away from rote methods. Means maybe before 2005 or even today also, the teaching process or the teaching methods is not so advanced. So usually the certain scientific discipline definitions, concepts, principles, they were learned by the learners by cramming, by mugging up without understanding, rote memorization. So that was the method. And this guiding principle for curriculum development by NCF suggests that learning must involve various types of methods, not that cramming. And this is a nice step. And another guiding principle, enriching the curriculum so that it goes beyond the textbooks. So whatever knowledge is given in the textbook, so science teachers should not teach the matter which is only there in the textbook. So certain activities can be organized which goes beyond the textbook. So the knowledge is to be broadened, not only restricted in the information which is given in the textbook. So for that, like outside the classroom activities, it may be different type of co-curricular activities related with the subject, especially in this context, like organizing the science quiz, science seminar, declamation contest, debate, or excursion, like that. So this is must. This must be incorporated in the school curriculum. Then the examination system was that time it was considered a very rigid type. So this NCF, they suggested, NCF 2005 has recommended that examination systems should be more flexible and it should have a connection, integration with the classroom life. And like examination earlier used to create the fear among the students, and it should not be like that. In a nice way, while doing certain activities, for that also related with the subject, let us say related with the science, so that can be taken as a part of the examination, like open book examination, giving assignment. They can refer the books, but the specific time limit is to be given, and multiple set of questions, and the question bank, the provision of question bank. So these are the certain reformations regarding the examination. So they have emphasized the making the examination system more flexible. And fifth guiding principle is that in the curriculum, the subject is to be taught in such a way so they will nurture certain authentic or the informations, or the let us say that ordinance given by authority, let us say by the government, and that what type of policy they would like to implement, and that is to be there in the curriculum development. So it should go along with the national development plan. So what we teach in the school, it must have the direct connection with the broader area, what a nation was supposed to do, and that is to be given, or that is to be given in the curriculum development itself only. So that's why Kothari Commission highlighted one special sentence: the future of the nation is built within the four walls of the classrooms. So in the classrooms, that means in this school, what is being taught, so that will give the direction of the future of the nation. So that's why a holistic kind of a curriculum development has to be there, and this is what suggested by NCF 2005. And it has further emphasized, here you can read, pause this and you can read. So this national focus group on teaching of science, they have emphasized that the entire teaching learning process at school level has to revolve around those 5 guiding principles. And NCF emphasized that teaching of science should be recast, total change, so that it enables children to examine and analyze everyday experiences. Concerns and issues pertaining to the environment should be emphasized. In every subject and through a wide range of activities involving outdoor project work. Some of the information and understanding flowing from such projects could contribute to the elaboration of a publicly accessible, transparent database on India's environment, which would in turn become a most valuable educational resource. If well planned, many of these learner projects could lead to knowledge generation. So actually knowledge generations, new kind of knowledge can be added by the activities done by the learners in the school. So those activities may be a project work. So let the students take the role of a discoverer or a pioneer or to a kind of an inventor. So if they participate in the certain project work, subject wise, especially in the science, they can take up many projects related with the open field. From there they can do the experimentation, observations, and from there they can come up with the new knowledge. And that new knowledge will be not only for the sake of passing the exams or scoring the good marks, but it can be a very, very valuable educational resource. That can be a really new invention, a new thing. So that's why the learning of sciences has to have that type of opportunities in the school for the learners. So it means science teaching should be organized around learners' experiences, and opportunities should be provided to learners to explore science around them. That means learning of sciences has to be based on the learners' experiences, or learners are to be given enough of experiences. For that, opportunities is to be provided. Opportunities, how do you provide the opportunity for the students? So not only the teaching, not only giving the lecture in the class is sufficient. So being a science teacher, you should be knowing the various ways and methods of providing the opportunities for the students to explore science around them. As I already pointed out, like organization of field trip or field study, or visit to the places like slum area, sometimes city, sometimes a very beautiful natural forest, sometimes the lake region, sometimes to the factory, some factories, some industries, and like that. Sometimes a very busy town area at different intervals of the time. In the morning, what is the scenario of the town, and during peak hour, like 10 o'clock, what is the scenario, 12 o'clock, like they can observe and then can come to the conclusions. So like this type of activities also can be organized by the science teacher, provided these activities finds the place in the curriculum. Like if it is not included in the curriculum, then if you start to organize, then the problem will be there. So it has to have a good connections, that it has to be incorporated in the science curriculum, and the science teachers should be able to organize those activities which are included in the curriculum. So, and this is a very clear shift, a change from classroom and laboratory centered science pedagogy. So integration in science teaching learning is very, very important, and scientific knowledge should not be compartmentalized in subject domains like physics, chemistry, biology, environmental science up to the secondary level. So up to secondary level, that means up to class 10, the knowledge should not be compartmentalized in terms of the different subject domains. Physics means I'll only study physics. I need not have a knowledge of chemistry. No, it's not like that. The biology students, I learn only biology, not the physics, not the chemistry. That is also no. Biology has a strong connection with the other disciplines of the sciences. So it is to be learned in integrated way. Up to class 10, the students need to have the basic knowledge of physics, chemistry, biology, and also environmental science. Then after plus 2, they can specialize. So these are the certain guiding principles of teaching of science in Indian scenario. Then this NCF 2005, and under that a position paper of National Focus Group on Teaching of Science 2006, they have proposed 6 criteria for validity of a science curriculum. That science curriculum is a valid one. It possesses what it was supposed to be, what it was supposed to have. So for that, this NCF 2005 have given 6 types of validity, and this was already dealt in second semester. However, this can be a small revision of the same. So those validity in the curriculum which are to be incorporated are cognitive validity. Cognitive validity. That means as per the need, interest, psychological factor, and also the age label of the learner, the science curriculum is to be arranged. Content, what type of subject matter is to be incorporated. Process validity, what type of processes are to be learned by the learners in the primary, in the secondary, and the higher secondary. And in that curriculum, the historical factors also are to be incorporated, so that the students will find the strong connection between science and history related to the science, growth of the science. Then environmental validity. So whatever content, whatever subject matter is there, whatever information is incorporated in the syllabus, that has to have a direct connection with the environment. And ethical. So whatever subject matter is there in the curriculum, that must develop the ethical values among the learners. So this you can read this NCF 2005 position paper. It is available in the internet and you can read it out in detail. So on the basis of these 6 validities, the NCF 2005 and the National Focus Group on Teaching of Science, they have formulated general aims of science education. So now in this aspect, we will be truly discussing about the aims of science education in Indian scenario. So science is to be taught in the school with the following aims. The first aim, here you can see number 1, the learners must be able to know the facts and principles of science. Not only know, but they should be able to apply it. So its applications consistent with the stage of cognitive development. Cognitive development, the intellectual development of the learner, like in primary level, what type of facts, what type of principles, what type of scientific knowledge is to be given, so that the learner will know it and also apply it. then upper primary 6, 7, 8. So what type of knowledge, what type of facts, what type of concepts of the science are to be incorporated in the curriculum so that the learner will be able to apply in their day-to-day life to solve the different kinds of problem related to science. And similarly, in 9 and 10, what should be the subject matter and what type of skills they will develop. So it has to be planned that way. So science is to be taught to especially to know the facts and principles and its application in the day-to-day life. Second aim of teaching science or the giving science education to the students in the school is to acquire the skills and understand the methods and processes that lead to generation and validation of scientific knowledge. So see, generation and validation of scientific knowledge. So the main thing is the children or the learners should be able to generate the scientific knowledge. And to generate the scientific knowledge, they need to have certain skills like problem solving skills, critical thinking skills, logical thinking skills. So this type of skills are to be acquired by the learners, and besides that skill, the learners must understand the method. Which method? Experimental method, inquiry method, heuristic method, or inductive deductive method. So children also should be knowing about it, and what type of processes are involved in that particular method for generating the scientific knowledge. So the process, times measurement, sometimes classification, sometimes observation, sometimes experimentations, and so on. So all these things are to be learned by the learners for the generation of the scientific knowledge. Then validation means once the scientific knowledge is established or it is generated or it is created, then the same experiment can be done by themselves again and again or by other group of the learners again and again. So validation. For example, today if we go to physics lab and we start to do the experimentation related to the this one, a famous one and easiest one is that reflection of the light. So there the law is already propounded. It's a natural law in terms of the light that angle of incident and the angle of reflection are always equal. The incident ray, normal, and the reflected ray lie on the same plane. So these are the two laws, no? And those laws now also we can verify in the laboratory. And some of you can take up this activity as a part of your field-based activities also. So that is validations. Sometimes we do the experimentation of Boyle's law. Sometimes we do the experimentation of this Coulomb's law in terms of the electricity. So this we are not doing that experiment for the first time, but that experimentation was already done by many of the scientists and also by many other students, and now also we are doing, and our students also they do. So that is validation. repeating the experiment already done in the past, and to make sure yes, so and so is correct, so that is validation. So the learner should develop this type of qualities. And now another aim of teaching of science is to develop a historical and developmental perspective of science, and to enable learners to view science as a social enterprise. And this is science is not only confined with the laboratory, it works for the society. And from the past, how the development in the field of science has occurred, so that part is to be understood by the learners. The science is not all of a sudden abruptly we can give the scientific facts. It's not that. It has some historical background, how the slowly how the work of the scientist and how the support of the people or the ruler of that particular place of that time, how they have influenced the development of science. So these are to be understood by the learners. And fourth one is that is also one of the general aim of teaching of science in the school, in such a way so that it enables the learner to relate the environment, local as well as global, and appreciate the issues at the interface of science, technology and society. So this science and technology, we already mentioned, it influences the development of the society also. Similarly, the society, the members of the society, they also give the direction for the development of science and technology. What the people accepts, that science and technology will further progress. If the people does not accept that one, and that particular technology may decline its growth. So actually whenever we teach science, and our learner must relate that knowledge with the environment, and that environment may be natural environment or artificial environment or the social environment. And this is very important aim of teaching of science. Then next general aim, a fifth one, is our learners, they must be able to acquire the requisite theoretical knowledge and practical technological skill to enter the world of work, nurture the natural curiosity, aesthetic sense and creativity in science and technology. So we teach science in the school to enable our learners. Those learners will acquire the requisite theoretical knowledge and practical technological skills. So in up to class 10, or let us say up to plus 2, by the time the learners or the students must acquire the requisite scientific theoretical knowledge, and not only the theoretical knowledge, not only the theory, they should be able to do practical use. So they need to have both knowledge, theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge. And practical knowledge can be considered as the skills. And this theoretical knowledge and the practical skills will help them to get any vocations or adopt any profession in the future. So actually what is happening nowadays, up to class 10, our students, they study science, and suppose in class 10 they decide to complete their education, they do not want to go for further study. So that time they don't have any practical technological skills related to the science. So they cannot start any job, or they cannot enter into the world of the work comfortably. It's because the theoretical knowledge only they have gained, but practically and they haven't done anything. So practical knowledge is nil. So in such cases, they cannot get the job immediately. Next, so the science is to be taught in such a way if they complete their education in class 10, then after that they want to enter into the they want to get employed, so they should have that certain certificate, not only certificate, the real practical skills to start that the job or that particular work. And the science also should nurture the natural curiosity. Students, they are always curious in nature, so in the science those first type of activities are to be incorporated, which enhances the curiosity of the learner. Curiosity in the natural phenomenon. And aesthetic science in terms of the beauty and in terms of the imbibing the certain moral values also. And lots of creative activities are to be incorporated in the science curriculum related to the science and technology. So the science is to be taught to acquire the requisite theoretical knowledge, also to gain the practical technological skills, and also it should nurture the natural curiosity. It also develop the scientific attitude, and it also should make the students very creative. So for that reasons, the science is to be studied in the school. And sixth guiding principle, a sixth aim, general aim is the after learning the science in the school, our learners should be able to imbibe the values of honesty, integrity, cooperation, concern for life, and preservation of environment. So science students, they have to have the values of honesty. All the works are to be done honestly. All the experimentation is to be done honestly. Some project works are to be done with the value of cooperation. And whatever activity we do, that must have a concern for the life. And also, it must be related with the preservation of the environment. And these are the different values, and one of the values is integrity. Integrity means in and out, very clean, same. While doing the experimentation, yes, we have to be honest also. At the same time, any activity we perform, it has to be an integrated one. It's just like if somebody is observing us, and that time if we are doing any task, so if some observer is there for us when we are doing the task, so we do very cautiously, very attentively and all. But as the observers moves away, so that time we stop doing the work with that sincerity. So that means there is a lack of the integrity. So integrity if somebody is present or the absent, we are doing always the good work. So that is called the integrity. Andar bahar saaf, in and out. The way you act, the way you think, it should be in the same congruence. So this is to be there as a great value while teaching the science. So we expect means we assume we enable our students for imbibing inculcating these values. So these values are very essential for the present day. Cooperation is very essential. Like now in this COVID-19 period, how we can cooperate with the policymakers. It's not necessary we go and take care of the people who have become ill because of that COVID-19, but we can cooperate with each other by following the strict norms about our health and hygiene, by wearing the mask whenever we go to the crowded place, and so that is also cooperation. If we sanitize our hand, and if we sanitize the certain places where frequently the people visit, so that is also a value of cooperation. So this is to be nurtured while teaching the science. And seventh one is to cultivate the scientific temper, objectivity, critical thinking, and freedom from fear and prejudice. So this is very important. For every citizen of India, they need to have a scientific temper. Anything, any work is to be done scientifically. Scientific way of thinking, a systematic, step by step, certain works, certain tasks is to be done. And we would like to make our student very objective in their dealings, not biased one, not influenced by prejudices, not influenced by the preconceived notions, and objective, very fair in their viewing the natural phenomenon, or doing the experimentation, or observing the others' experimentations, or performing any scientific activity. We need to be very, very objective. Critical thinking, it is very essential part of learning the science. So many things are taking place in the environment, in the nature. So certain answers we get by the method of, or the special skill of, critical thinking. And we must make our learners free from the fear. That is the main aim of teaching science. Free from fear. What type of fear? Here you have to reflect. I just would like to share one small fact, that earlier the people used to believe in that marshy area, in certain interval of the time, sometimes during daytime, sometimes in the midnight, the mashal, in Namchi it is called Raki Bhoot. So that a flame, a ball of flame in the sequence, it used to move. And those days, long time back, the people used to think these are the ghosts, and they are doing, they are in participating in the some kind of protest, or they are doing organizing julus. And so they are burning a mashal and moving one after the another. So that was, people used to get afraid. But later on, one scientist came to know, so in that marshy area, especially in the night, that anaerobic respiration used to take place by the plants which are there in the marshy area, which are already, those plants which are already dead one, and for the decomposition process, at that time they were releasing releasing the methane gas, and that when methane gas, natural gas, it is released in the atmosphere and it comes in contact with the oxygen and it starts to burn, and it burns. One bulk of gas is released and used to burn by the interaction with the atmospheric oxygen. So then another amount of methane is released, again it burns with the oxygen and it goes. So a large number of methane gas in sequence, it is released from time to time from that marsh area, and it gets ignited in the company of oxygen. So that was later on, it was cleared that they were not the ghost, it was the natural gas, methane. So the people became free from the fear of the ghost. And sometimes people are already infected with certain prejudice, certain their bias ideas will be there, and the science will make such type of learner or such type of people or the learner, any our students, free from the any kind of prejudices. So this is very essential so that we can have a fair knowledge, a clean knowledge, a scientific knowledge of any type of natural activity or the human activity. So these are the general aims of science education as suggested by the NCF and National Focus Group on Teaching of Science 2006. And these aims are suggesting organization of science curriculum at different levels, keeping in the mind the cognitive level of learners. So you can recall and link levels of cognitive development suggested by Piaget. So these 7 different aims are to be fulfilled by the learners during their educational course in the whole school period, from primary to upper primary to secondary, then to senior secondary. So how it is to be organized, from which class to what type of process, what type of knowledge is to be given. So this has to be there, properly organized in the school curriculum. So this is what they have propounded or they have suggested. And this scientific knowledge has to have a strong linkages with the knowledge of the society, or it should be relevant to the societal need. And the learners, they need to develop their scientific attitude also, and at the same time they have to develop the universal values of truth, honesty, a love for the nature. These type of values are to be also imbibed, and various types of process skills, scientific process skills also be inculcated in the learners. So this in different level of education, in a primary and upper primary and secondary and to senior secondary, how it is being organized, what type of suggestions are given by this NCA related with the science curriculum. So that it was there in the second semester also, but anyway we'll be dealing in the next class to make it more clear, because with that only this particular aims of teaching science in the school, that theme will be complete one. So we'll be doing those parts in the next class. And before we wind up this class, you can reflect, you can write in your notebook again, explain the aims of science teaching framed by NCF 2005 or NCF Group 2006 Do you agree? If yes, why? You have to give the reason. And if you do not agree with any one of the seven guiding, seven general aim, why? For that also, you can give the reason. So then you can write this part and you can email this response to me. So with this, today's class we complete, and in the next class we'll meet like this. Thank you.